Now that Squid Game has ended, at least for the moment, we're left with a mountain of unanswered questions. In this video, I'm going to list the biggest ones that still haven't been addressed. It's no surprise that most of the questions are targeting Jun-ho, and this is one of the big complaints about how this season finale ended. We did not get any closure with his character. There are way too many questions regarding him, and the final season did not come to answer any of them. But it added even more questions to his character, like, what did Jun-ho do in the 6 months before the time skip? And why did he decide to give the baby to Jun-ho? Did he take care of it himself, or did the organization take care of the baby, and Jun-ho decided that the baby deserves a shot at real life, and Jun-ho is the most fitting person who could offer that life to her? Maybe Netflix left so many unanswered questions for his character because they are planning a spin-off regarding his character, and all of our questions would be answered there. Maybe they would do a quick movie to resolve his character. But as I said, most of our unanswered questions are regarding the frontman. What made him accept the role as the frontman, and how did he lose his belief in humanity? Another big question came from the only flashback we got with him when he was a player. Why did Il-nam give Jun-ho the knife and propose that he escape from the game? Is this some sort of weird last challenge to see if they are fit to be part of this organization? And if so, this came with another bigger question. Did Jun-ho participate in the game twice? In the same way Gi-hun did? Why else would Il-nam summon Jun-ho to his chamber to propose this idea? I don't think Il-nam would just pick a random player to give them the knife. Also, the VIP said, no one won the game twice. This somehow implies that there were other previous winners who joined the game in a later edition, but they died in their second attempt. And Jun-ho killing the players in their sleep wouldn't count as a win, because the final game would be considered null. This is why the VIP said, no one won the game twice. Jun-ho killing the players wouldn't count as a win. A little more backstory from the frontman would have tied the story together and would have given us the closure we need to understand his actions. We know why Gi-hun chose humanity, but I believe it would have been equally important to understand why Jun-ho lost his faith in it. But without a clear answer, we cannot understand the actions he took. We only saw his obsession to make Gi-hun adopt his mindset. The last unanswered question we have regarding the frontman is a question which is still unanswered from Season 1. Who was he talking to on the phone? Jun-ho was speaking in English, so it must have been someone abroad. Jun-ho said, the host is waiting for the VIP to arrive. The host is Il-nam, who was in the game at the moment. And based on this sentence, Jun-ho is not talking with one of the VIPs either. The most popular assumption is that he was talking with the person who is in charge of this game globally and who ensures that the games are unfolding without a problem. Still, this is one of the biggest questions left unanswered. We know the games were created by Il-nam for his clients, so who could this mysterious person be? Did the game initially start in South Korea and then expand over the whole world? It would have been nice to have a little more information about how this vast network operates. A little more information about the VIP would be nice. Who are they? How many of them are there? Why do we have one set of VIP in Season 1 and another in Season 3? And how do they decide which ones will see the games this year? Maybe they are preparing a movie regarding this as well, because trust me, a movie featuring the first edition of the games would be a box office hit. They could have gone deeper about how the players are recruited. Back in Season 1, all of them were in high debt without any real way to pay them off. But in Season 2, things are a little different. We had players who weren't in debt, but they needed the money, like Gyeom-ja, who joined the game to pay for her son's debt, or how Park Gyeong-seok joined the games to pay for her daughter's treatment. And is there a reason why they select specifically 456 players every year? Why not more? One thing that was different from Season 1 is that in the last 2 seasons, we also saw the perspective of a guard. And this somehow debunked one of the biggest theories about how the guards are recruited. The theory stated that people who would choose the blue envelope before the Dokji game would be selected as the players. and the ones who would choose the red one would be guards. But we see in Season 2 that No-eul was given a card to call if she wanted back in the games, and that she was recruited by the Black Square Mask after she fled from North Korea and killed the entire unit pursuing her. But still, this doesn't answer our question completely. The guards are people who are willing to overlook all the atrocities that are happening there, so the payments must be accordingly. Also, there are 3 levels of the guard system. Do they all start from the circle, and are they promoted like in a corporate society? Moving on. Another big question left unanswered is, what happened with the Korean Games? We only know that the Coast Guard is approaching the island. The front man activated the self-destroying protocol, and everyone evacuated the island, and that's all. No news about an investigation, nothing. I mean, the Coast Guard sees an island explode, and they did nothing? Even if the facility is underground, there would still be visible traces of the explosion. How big are the roots of this society? Is the police involved? The government? Or is it only a small portion of those official forces that are getting bribed and decided to turn a blind eye to the disappearance of 456 people every year? We got no aftermath for that explosion. Did Jun-ho going to America and being recognized by the American recruiter mean he is no longer in charge of the Korean Games and he was reallocated? Or did he just deliver Gi-hun's belongings to his daughter just because of his sense of honor? And he gave up completely on the games. And regarding the island exploding, one question that keeps me awake at night is, what plan did Jun-ho have when he would reunite with his brother? He made it his life mission to find his brother. And do what? Just ask him why and be satisfied without getting an answer. This feels so weird. Like, you had 3 years to make a plan. So what was that plan? You might argue that he had the mercenaries team with him, and they could infiltrate the base altogether. But the mercenaries weren't hired by Jun-ho. They were hired by Gi-hun. So could Jun-ho's plan all along have been to infiltrate alone in the facility and meet with his brother? Now for my next question, I won't get into so much depth, because I've talked way too much about this subject, and I expressed my disappointment with this. But why was Dae-ho deemed physically or mentally unstable for full military duty, and he was only allowed to participate in the social service personnel training? Another question that I have, and this one is not so pressing, but more like a curiosity. What was with that Il-nam wax statue? Because honestly, it kind of creeped me out the first time I saw it. Is this some twisted homage Il-ho dedicated to Il-nam? Now the last 2 questions I had are after the time skip. We saw that Park Gyeong-seok's daughter recovered, and he said that everyone helped. Could this be that everyone from the park gathered money to save his daughter? But if this was true, why was he in the games in the first place? I mean, didn't he already ask those people if they could help him, and they said no? What made them change their mind? What had happened during those 6 months that made people help his daughter with the money needed? And the last question is regarding No-eul's daughter. Do you think the broker lied about it or not? Because in my opinion, I find it very hard to believe that the broker would have more accurate information than the Squid Game organization. And why did he lie to No-eul that he wasn't at the airport if he actually found her daughter? I would still put this as an unanswered question because we didn't get a definitive answer. But I tend to think the broker just lied to her. So I believe these would be the most important questions that are left unanswered in the Squid Game world. And I truly wish we had more information about it, especially about Jun-ho's backstory. Maybe they are really preparing a spin-off, or maybe we weren't supposed to receive all the answers.